With AT&T, take your U.S. plan to Mexico at no extra charge. When you choose an eligible plan, place calls, send text, and enjoy your plan data in Mexico like in the U.S. It's that easy. AT&T, mobilizing your world. Subject to plan rates, terms, international fees, overage charges, or data speeds. Restrictions apply. See store for plan details.
Blog Talk Radio.
It's here.
Hello?
Have you checked the children?
They're all hot dogs.
Whatever you do, don't fall asleep.
I'm afraid!
Don't be afraid!
No. Be afraid. Be very afraid.
Here's Gingy.
Pain has a face. Allow me to show it to you. Gentlemen, I am pain.
I met this 6-year-old child with this blank, pale, emotionless face. The blackest eyes. The devil's eyes.
Have you checked the children?
Have you checked the children?
Hi, I'm Chuck. You wanna play? I think he's in trouble.
Julie, this guy, if he can't take a joke, he stinks.
There's no more room in hell. The dead will walk here.
Look, just a flesh wound.
Excuse me. Good evening, Flesh Wound Radio freaks, and welcome to a brand new episode of Horror Society Presents Flesh Wound Radio. I am Daniel Shine, joined once again by Todd Loya. Todd, how's it going?
All is going well. How about yourself?
Doing good, doing good. This is the pre-convention eve for me. I'm going to be heading out tomorrow to Days of the Dead Atlanta. We'll talk a little bit about that, I guess, probably at the end of the reviews, but I am very excited. This is my first Atlanta convention, so it's kind of nice not having to drive like 5 hours like I used to go to the, New Jersey, New York ones. This one's just in my backyard pretty much, so I'm excited. Tomorrow I'm going to be meeting Ric Flair, so that's pretty cool.
That is.
I don't know what I'll say to him. I don't know. Maybe something funny right before they snap the photo up. Your daughter does nice splits or something like that. I don't know. Just to get like a classic photo op. Maybe he'll chop me or something. Hopefully he doesn't pull a Becky Lynch.
Just ask her if you've seen the new Sunny video.
Yes, but China's there too. I'm very. I don't think I'll have the balls to do it, but I really kind of want to ask her if she's going to do that and, make all our dreams or maybe nightmares in some case come true. Hey, I always say this, and I've always, people talk shit on China, but number one selling Playboy, one of the top sex tapes, I think, to this day, next to like a Kim Kardashian, I think, one of the top ones. And so there are people out there that do want to see her do the deed.
I don't know if this one's going to surpass it, though.
Yeah, I don't know. I was going to say one time maybe for a Flesh Wound After Dark, you need to have some of the XPW guys on, and kind of maybe we can find out if some of those rumors about her are true, but about Sunny. My understanding is they are true. So.
I don't even want to ask.
Hey, that maybe some of them will be in one of the videos. Speaking of which, the pre-orders, and I know Yeah, I know this is kind of not horror news, but, we do have a wrestling connection, so I'm just throwing it out there. Sunny Side Up, in through the back door. The pre-orders are up for that one now, so maybe we'll review that on Flesh Wound After Dark since we do it now, so that could be, I don't know, maybe even a commentary track.
Jesus.
With the XPW guys.
I know we already have one request, so we'll see.
Oh, well, sweet. Well, hey, you request it, guys. We'll do it. I haven't pre-ordered my copy yet, but maybe I'll do that from the hotel tomorrow. Another bit of news, just on that front, very sad news, actually. Axel Rotten, ECW and ECW and XPW legend, has passed away today, earlier this morning, I believe. He suffered from a lot of bad health, I know. I think he had brain surgery, actually, not too long ago, if I'm not mistaken. So definitely rest in peace, Axel. I actually got to talk to him several times. A training seminar I went to at one point he was at, and, really cool guy, very down to earth, easy to talk to. He had cleaned his life up, I think, towards the end as well, so seemed to be doing really good. Hopefully, went peacefully, and we offer our condolences. Do you have any special memories of Axel? Because you went to probably all the XPW shows, didn't you?
The West Coast ones, yes. I missed a couple, but that was before I started going. Yeah, I had a few interactions with him. Not a lot, though. He always seemed very cool. And he's, definitely missed. I mean, he was one of the draws. I mean, that's what got me in the door for XPW was the ECW guys that were there before I got to know the XPW guys. And didn't he have a couple?
I remember. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was gonna say there was like a drop out there. I wasn't sure, but yeah, he really put XPW on the map in some ways, because I can't remember who he wrestled off the top of my head, but he came in, I think it was that first Baptized in Blood deathmatch tournament, if I remember, and after that really, just said this is the craziest place to be, the best wrestling, and really kind of almost like a, I know he didn't stay forever, but it was almost kind of similar to like a sort of Terry Funk ECW deal where, you had a very familiar and popular face at the time that I think made a lot of people aware of the company. So he was very influential, and he will definitely be missed. I'm trying to see if I've missed any news bits. Not a whole lot of horror news that I'm aware of, except Todd and I were talking before the show, because we did have a conversation about this recently, the Toxic Avenger Blu-ray set. Well, Todd, I'll let you tell them what you told me, because I know there was a little confusion on if the second Toxic Avenger film was still messed up, and then there was an issue with the third one. So what's the update on that?
Well, with the second one, it's always for the set. It's always been the corrected one. They just kind of it was just a little slip up where they accidentally put on the 480 transfer instead of the 1080. I mean, kind of a big slip up. And then with the third one, the the only surviving footage was the theatrical version. All of the other was the video footage. So it is the theatrical R-rated print and not the slightly extended unrated print, which is a bummer, but it's still looks great because it's also the same cut 88 Films use. It is the only available one. Yeah,
I wanted to clear that up for everybody because I know I had questions. There's a surprising lack of reviews on the set for some reason. So anybody thinking about buying it, it's $34.99 right now, which isn't bad at all. So, you know, if you want to pick that up, it's out there. And I'm trying to think if there was any other news. I thought I might have missed something, but if it occurs to us, we'll get to it later. So we have a very interesting mix of reviews today. A couple things actually, I don't want to say similar, but there's some similar points to be made about some of tonight's films. Let's see, which one should we kick this one off with? Well, it's top of the pile, so we'll do Sonny Boy first. Sonny Boy is... well, I'll do the back cover first. A shattering, unforgettable performance from David Carradine powers this wickedly offbeat tale of family love gone berserk. Paul L. Smith and Brad Dourif are also featured in powerfully moving supporting roles. In a remote desert town, a psychopathic petty crook and his transvestite girlfriend, played by Carradine, kidnap an orphaned infant, cage it like an animal, and train it to steal and kill on their command. Years later, when the half-wild Sonny Boy escapes and embarks on a bloody rampage, the couple's monstrous attempt at child development provokes the local populace into vengeful retaliation. Unlike any film you've ever seen, Sonny Boy is an unsettling, wildly bizarre allegory on the devastating effects of child abuse and the violent consequences that follow. So, this film is very, very obscure, to the point that when it first popped up through Scream Factory, who put it out, for a second, I didn't even remember this. I actually thought this was a new film they were putting out, and I'm thinking, shit, 7 years after his death, and David Carradine is still cranking them out. I never saw it before. I do remember hearing about it when I looked at it closer, and it's from 1989, and very hard to classify. It was shot in 1987, came out in 89, and you can kind of see why maybe some people took a look at it and didn't quite know what to make of it. I have a lot to say about this one, so Todd, what did you think, first of all? Because it is very, very different.
I still don't know what to make of it. And like you, I hadn't seen it before. It kind of slipped under my radar. I don't know if, honestly, it's completely in all possibilities. It wasn't even stuck in the horror section in our local video stores as youngsters, which is maybe why we missed it. It is such a genre-bending film. I'm at the point I still don't even know how I feel about it. I mean, it was interesting, but did I like it? I honestly don't know.
It's funny. Classifying it is very difficult. It obviously has horror elements, but I feel the description may betray some people because it's not a film that really necessarily focuses on a feral young man that goes off killing a bunch of people. That is a part of it, but I really almost kind of considered this almost a rural white trash hodgepodge of like Edward Scissorhands or even Powder for that matter. It's very, if I had to pick one drama, I would call it kind of a surreal drama, to be perfectly honest. It's definitely a cult film. David Carradine, my God, I mean, you've never seen him like this before. I mean, this is a point where he was generally playing, Sirio Santiago post-nuke flicks or, stuff like Future Zone and, kind of his B-movie period. But if you're a fan of his, this is certainly very different. He plays the role of this. I don't know whether he's actually supposed to be a woman or what, but he plays it very well. And I think if you're a cult movie fan and just a fan of weird films from, you know, Eraserhead to Forbidden Zone or what have you, this is definitely one of a kind. And having said that, much like in Edward Scissorhands, you really feel for the character of Sonny. You know, they make a point of highlighting Carradine, but I have to say the actor Michael Griffin, who plays Sonny Boy, was fantastic in this. You really kind of felt horrible for him in this movie and what he goes through. There's something strangely powerful and emotional at times about this movie, and Paul Smith, who plays Slew in this, the father villain. You know, you can see him in Pieces, Midnight Express, Dune, Popeye the movie. He's had a hell of a career, and he's amazing in this. Actually, really, a really nasty villain. And who do I recommend this to? I'm not quite sure, to be honest. I'm just going to say fans of unusual cult movies. If you're looking for a horror movie, there's a lot of off-screen kills as far as him going after. There is some surprising moments, one involving a cannon. So that, I mean, it lacks gore, but there are a couple moments where it's there. It even kind of goes action movie towards the end, so it's very, very, very different. But what can I say? At the end of it, I liked it. It's very well made. It's just this strange little movie that I think just never found its audience. And yeah, like you said, I mean, it's very rare for something like this that neither one of us have seen or rented it. I do remember hearing about it, but, you know, much later than when it came out. So, I don't know, God, what to rate this one? I have nothing bad to say about this one. Do you, Todd? I mean, there's nothing really that I can criticize about it.
No, there isn't. My biggest problem is if I'm rating this as a horror film, that's where I get my dilemma.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know, I think it's very interesting, and is it one I will watch again right away? No, but I would for great performances, and I want to throw out Brad Dourif as well, who was really good in this. There's a lot there. It is different. It's an older film that did not compare to anything back then, and I don't think it quite compares to anything now. And uniqueness is always a good thing. So I can't promise that you're going to love this. You might. I actually liked it quite a bit. It definitely held my attention. And I give this one a 4 out of 5. I mean, I can't go lower than that. Just don't expect a horror film per se. This is kind of a strange cult drama, and the performances are top notch. I mean, the cast was excellent and very memorable. I almost felt like I could almost see, like, if they upped the horror a little bit, that I could see like Rob Zombie doing a remake of this in a strange way.
You know, it's funny you say that, because that's exactly what I was thinking. I mean, they could do a Rob Zombie version, and it would be more of a horror film. I mean, of course he would add his touches, but I mean, that whole white trash, you know, Rob Zombie style definitely would work with this.
Bill Moseley is Pearl, perhaps, might be interesting. Maybe Bill, I don't know. Maybe Sid Haig could be Pearl. I don't know. I'm thinking Sid Haig is Slew. Maybe Bill Moseley is Pearl.
There you go. Hell,
reunited at last.
They could really switch it up and have Brad Dourif play it, that part now, since he's in the whole Rob Zombie band of Misfit Toys now.
Yes, that's true. That's true. But what do you rate this one, Todd? I know it's a hard one for you.
You know what? I know, and I'm still it's hard because you mentioned all the good performances and stuff, but I'm still stuck in the middle if I actually like the film or not. I'm just gonna play it safe, and I'm calling it 2.5. I'm dead in the middle.
Okay, yeah, that works. Like I said, it's tough. I don't want to mislead anybody on this one, but I like it. Maybe one criticism I could say is that maybe the end lingered a little bit long. I don't want to get into the ending, but there was maybe a point I might have cut it off, but other than that, I really have nothing bad to say.
Here's the one thing I do kind of wish. I think this would have been a different kind of thing. I wish they didn't. This would have just been a Shout Factory release, because I think it's going to mislead a lot of people.
That's true. Yeah, it may. The horror. I mean, but yet at the same time, it is fucked up. I mean, they're cutting the tongue out of a young kid and everything, but just so much of that was off screen. Then the movie really felt like it became more of a sympathetic character study. But what can I say? I was never bored by it at all, and it's very rare that this type of odd movie you cannot criticize any of the performances. They were all amazing, quite frankly. I think Paul Smith had passed away a few years ago, but one hell of an actor. This was, he's really good in this. So there you go. Maybe a little bit of a confusing review as well, but if you are a fan of cult films, check it out. If you're a fan of David Carradine, certainly check it out. He never did anything else like this. It's strange to see, kung fu and drag, but he does at least pick up a gun at one point in this. So even as Pearl, he still kicks ass in a dress. So hopefully he won't be. Hopefully this won't kill your childhood memories.
I was going to say, would you expect anything less?
Of course not. And yeah, there were so many things, because I was kind of aware it might not be a straight-out horror film, but it even lacked a lot of dark comedy. There was kind of traces of dark comedy at the beginning, because I really thought, okay, this is probably going to be more of a dark comedy, but then it really became more of a drama than anything else, and not a bad one. So there you go, 4 and 2.5. We're actually... we differ on that one a little bit, so that's good. Doesn't happen that often. So, well, moving on to our next film for the evening, from actually probably the most. We haven't had a micro budget kind of title in a little while, so I figured this one would be interesting. Some pretty awesome cover art, I must say, and the film is The Thrill of a Kill. It's a Norwegian film from director Erik Lie, and from the back cover, the notorious Norwegian slasher Torture Nasty, available for the first time in the USA. Poor little Kim has a fight with her mother and runs off into the woods to escape, but she should have stayed home. A chance meeting with the local photographer's sons quickly dissolves into a living nightmare as Kim is captured and run through a series of gruesome tortures with a variety of tools and instruments of death, one worse than the last. And she's certainly not the only one in this killer's menagerie of pain. Will she be able to liberate herself and others? A graphic and disturbing exploration of punishment, recommended only for the most depraved, experienced viewers. That would be us, apparently. So this is a film that's actually been out there since 2011, I believe, and it's just kind of coming to our shores. And it's coming from Wild Eye and a new kind of sub-label of theirs called Wild Eye Raw, which what I'm gathering is this is something that's putting out very, very tiny budgeted flicks, several actually from overseas, and Norway in particular. There's another one coming out soon called Horror, which, of course, Todd, you know you're going to pre-order Horror.
Oh, yeah.
Do not.
I saw the trailer. I was like, oh, yeah, we're doing this one.
Yeah, not only did I see the trailer, but it's apparently Norway's #1 porn star is in it, and I may have Googled some of her videos, so yeah, I'm going to have to get that at some point. But anyways, Thrill of a Kill. So this one's interesting because I have some major issues, although there were some things I liked quite a bit for a micro-budgeted film. All right, first the bad, which I have to throw this out there. I'm fairly soft when it comes to CGI in most cases. I'm not the type of guy that bitches about a Sci-Fi Channel original where, okay, Mega Croc is probably going to have to be CGI at this point. I don't bitch in those cases, but if you're doing a film that certainly probably costs no more than $5,000, you're going to have some issues. I have no issues with some of the practical effects that they had that was very H.G. Lewis in terms of obvious prop legs, prop head. That doesn't bother me really in these types of films. It's kind of, I understand. I mean, I've been there, and sometimes that's what you do. But the CGI, when it comes to, and it's not all CG, but the slit throat and having some of the CGI blood, I'm not expecting that in an underground indie where, part of the charm is seeing the real effects. Even if they don't look perfect, even if they look ridiculous in some cases, it's okay. But Todd, what did you think?
Yeah, you called that up. That's definitely one. Devil's Reject's one of my favorite films. The CGI blood in that bothers me too.
Yeah.
That's one thing that, I mean, when done right, like if you look at Shaun of the Dead where it's used in association with practical, you can't even notice it. I mean, honestly, the same as Battle Royale is another one that mixes both. You get away with it because you're enhancing it versus going that route. And relying all on that, and that never works, and it bothered me. This almost felt like a Norwegian feeding farm to me, if you're familiar with the Troma film from the director, Cody Knotts, director of Pro Wrestlers vs. Zombies.
Yes.
Yet not as entertaining to me. It was definitely a micro budget, and there were aspects I liked, but overall, it wasn't a great film.
No, I liked when it sort of went into the sort of rape revenge sort of torture flick portion towards the end. I thought the killer was very good. Some of the head games he was playing. Once it kind of settled into that, I was like, okay, this is pretty fun.
Yeah.
Certainly not original, but I like these sort of micro-budget, grimy, gross movies. It had some moments that I thought worked nice. There were a couple twists as far as the girl's father, which kind of went nowhere. I'm not quite sure why it was even in this. I will say this for it. It's much better made than a couple others, quite frankly, that I've seen on the Wild Eye label. Correct me if I'm wrong, was Massage Parlor Massacre Wild Eye? I believe it was.
No, that was Shock Cinema, I believe.
Okay, I could be wrong, but there've been some like that where the production values are just ridiculous. This felt like the filmmakers had some promise. It kind of has a surreal sort of almost art house vibe for portions of the film before it just kind of settles into more of a sexploitation torture flick, which, it had some elements there that weren't half bad, but God, like I said again, the few movies I did, while by no means masterpieces, maybe not even good, but you take the time for the practical effects at least, and it works so much better. And I know these guys probably could have done it, but when you're seeing that computer blood spray the camera lens after a slit throat, it just, it's so bad in a movie like this where people are going to bitch more, because let's face it, this isn't something that mainstream viewers are watching on Sci-Fi Channel and not thinking anything about it. That's just kind of how it is. This is something that a hardcore horror gore freak is going to pick up because of the admittedly awesome cover art, which Wild Eye seems to specialize in, because the cover art's all good. But, God, and there could have been a little more nudity, too. I'm just going to say it's a very sleazy film, but there could have been a little more nudity for as sleazy as it was. But, there were some moments. There was a nice castration scene that was pretty cool, and, there a couple decent effects moments. Just wish they'd gone that way with it all, because I could have gone higher. As it stands, this one was below average for me. I'm going to be a little generous and give it a 2, because it had some moments that I liked, but I got to go below average for the CG for this. Todd, what say you?
Yeah, I have a 2 down on this one also. It wasn't the greatest thing going. Like I said, I check out Breeding Farm from Trauma. It's kind of a similar yet. If you went in thinking one thing, that'll probably satisfy you.
There you go. And, I'm probably going to pick up Horror. It's a little bit higher than most of these movies end up being. In fact, there's actually another Norwegian one I got called Bread and Circus that's like only $6 on Amazon right now that I think might be a little more promising, kind of a Peter Jackson meets David Lynch is kind of how it was described. So we'll probably have a review for that at some point. So that's Thrill of a Kill. You might see something we did, and it had its moments, but not enough. And that goddamn CGI, I don't know why they did it in this, but that's how, unfortunately, it's going even on the micro-budget scene. We're 2 films in. I was going to say, we're moving at a pretty good pace today. Todd, do you want to do our musical break right now, assuming we have one?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Let's just kind of play that one by ear. We are moving at a breakneck speed for once.
Okay, so you want to do another film then?
Yeah, I'm thinking if we run short today, we may not even jump to a musical break unless we may use it as an outro.
Okay, all right, no problem.
Are you trying to tell? Are you trying to tell me you need to go make a hot pocket? If you are, I will go to musical break.
Yeah, we can do musical break because that's what I was getting at. But
Go make your hot pocket. Well, actually,
is it Coonies this week?
No, geez, I told you I'm going to surprise you with it. Well, this makes sense.
There we go.
Well, I don't know. Did we bring it up last week? The pre-order for Tenebrae is now live? I'm trying to think.
Yeah, we did. I don't remember what we said about it, but I will say for me, because I'm going into a convention, if you order it on Diabolic DVD, diabolicdvd.com, Diabolic with a K if you're unfamiliar, you don't get charged until it ships. It also may be beneficial because I think if you order from Synapse, you have to be in the U.S., right?
Yes.
Okay, so if you're an international listener, you can get Tenebrae, the Steelbook Blu-ray right now through Diabolic. At least last I checked, I ordered it on there just simply because I wanted to, wait to be charged for it. So yes, that is live, and I guess I will. Go ahead.
And I bring that up because that's what our song is tonight, the theme.
Sweet. Makes sense.
So we'll be back. Yeah, there you go. We'll be back in 4.5 minutes.
Okay. And we are back, correct, Todd?
We're back.
Sweet. Yep, that was Tenebrae, and you can get that now. The CD's part of the Steelbook too, right? The soundtrack.
Yes, it is.
Yep. So
yes, it is.
You guys can get that. A little bit pricey, but you know it's Golden Era Argento, so we kind of give it a pass. There's actually another. I know you probably pre-ordered it. Another limited edition Blu-ray set for Bride of the Reanimator on the way, which I know we'll probably be covering that one. I'm very excited. I'm a huge Reanimator fan. We just got to get Beyond out there now.
You know what? It's
on
funny.
Blu-ray.
There was a piece of news, and I totally forgot about. Not really specifically horror-centric, but it did pop into my head. But before I do that, I also want to mention the Sinful Dwarf limited edition. I thought it was a Severn exclusive. It's available on Amazon also. I don't know if you're aware of that.
Yeah, I pre-ordered it on Amazon, and it is there's nothing different, right?
No, there's not. I forget that they do that Severn does that, because just like the Jeff Franco one, remember from a couple years back, the first pressing had the bonus disc. I can't remember the name. I can't remember which one it was. It was one of the earlier Blu-rays, but it might have been their first Blu-ray, actually, from Severn. But the interesting bit of news is, and it can either go one of two ways. It depends how you want to look at it. That and it could bring, actually reinvent what was pretty much everyone's favorite label for, a decade ago. Lionsgate is in talks to acquire Stars.
Oh.
Which, if it was the other way around, I would be more excited, more confident, because Stars getting Lionsgate would mean 100%. Anchor Bay would, Beyond Reanimator, Night of the Demons, 3. Two's right. Yeah, but I mean, there's so many that Lionsgate has, so this could be potentially a good thing, even though it's not the other way around. I mean, Lionsgate, if they acquired Stars, could be like, well, let them, they could do something with Anchor Bay again and bring it back to what it once was. I mean, with all the stuff Lionsgate has been sitting on.
Oh, and there's a lot there, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, so much that I can't even think of it all off the top of my head, but that could be fantastic news. I mean, there's some, lesser known but very worthwhile titles, in that catalog that I would certainly love to see on Blu-ray. So we'll have to follow that. That could be pretty awesome. Certainly beyond Reanimators 1, but there's a lot there. So we will update you guys on any developments. I'm excited about that one.
Yeah,
it's
I'd be more excited. I'd be more excited if it was the other way around. Like I said,
yeah.
It's still, maybe someone at Stars can be like, "Yo, we can do something."
Yeah. No, I certainly hope they do. It's like you said. I mean, Anchor Bay, they were the it company at one point, so they certainly potentially could be again. So I'm psyched. Maybe Scream Factory will get a little competition. We'll see.
And honestly,
there's a lot that they could do.
They need it, honestly. I mean, they do need competition. I mean, even, they may not have been the biggest competition back then, but I mean, you had a Shriek show at Anchor Bay's heels the whole time. Anchor Bay continually stepped up their game. There's been quite a few complaints lately about some of Scream Factory's stuff, and codes and other stuff slipping. So maybe that's, what they need is to hear, someone else doing good work.
Absolutely. I mean, not to, make another wrestling reference, but when there's competition, it does force people to, kind of up their game. So hopefully something develops there for sure, because there's a lot. I'm literally just I'm thinking of so many different titles in my head right now. So we'll update you guys. So moving on to our next review. Actually, let's do this one because I am curious. I think we might be pretty close on this, but then again, I don't know. Maybe not. And that is the Martyrs remake of, well, in my opinion, a classic film from France. And this is the U.S. remake from the Getz brothers, who are directing team on this one. And from the back cover, 10-year-old Lucy flees from the isolated warehouse where she's been held prisoner. Deeply traumatized, she is plagued by awful night terrors at the orphanage that takes her in. Her only comfort comes from Anna, a girl her own age. Nearly a decade later and still haunted by demons, Lucy tracks down the family that tortured her. As she and Anna move closer to the agonizing truth, they find themselves trapped in a nightmare. If they cannot escape, a martyr's fate awaits them. So, I don't know about you. I don't know if we've ever talked about it in length, but the 2008, I believe, at least when it came here, Martyrs from Pascal Laugier, I think was an amazing horror film. In fact, the ending I know is very open to interpretation. There's a lot of passionate debates out there about it. I think it was a very disturbing and creative, just really well-made horror flick that really kind of put France on the map again. I mean, right at the same time they had Inside and Them and a few other titles that, High Tension, of course.
I was going to say,
really kind of made them and the country for horror for a short time. There's still not a massive amount of horror films that comes out of France, but nonetheless, there were some pretty damn good ones. So that one's a classic. This one, God. Well, I've got a lot of bitching to do, so Todd, I'll let you go first because I don't know. Maybe you liked it. I don't know. What did you think?
Well, first I got to say this, and I'm probably going to take some heat for this. I don't think the original is the masterpiece everyone else does. I like the film. I enjoy the film. It's a good film. I'm more of an Inside, High Tension guy. That's just me.
Inside's the best of the bunch, I think.
Yeah. But this one was different enough it made an impact. And I'm going to say this up front. I have no issues with this remake because it's one of those things Americans want to do, and that is take a foreign film and do an American version. It's not the same thing as remaking Texas Chainsaw Massacre, because in their minds there's a section of the audience who won't want to see a foreign film. I mean, look at The Departed was, probably the biggest one that, because people didn't want to watch the Chinese or Japanese? I can't remember. God, so if that comes off racist, I'm sorry.
Sad but true.
What?
Oh, I said it's sad but true. There are people that just don't want to watch, a foreign film in general. So, I mean, it is true.
And I don't know. For me, that's never bothered me as much as a straight-up remake. Okay, it's done, for an American audience versus a film that's done for foreign audiences. Okay. That being said, I mean, at first it almost felt like a shot-for-shot remake, but it just was missing that something that made the original the special film.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll dance around some spoilers, but I'll kind of elaborate as much as I can on that. I mean, assuming you saw the original film, which is a much, much better film, in my opinion, and probably going to be the case with most who've seen them both. I'm going to give this film 2 ratings, though, because, like you said, the fact is there are some people right now that maybe see this film in Walmart, Best Buy, what have you, that have absolutely no idea there's an original one. There's not even any mention of the original in the sparse special features that they have. They just kind of, so in theory, a lot of people are going to be watching this not realizing it's a remake. There's something very special to me about the first one. The ending in particular, which was dark, but different people have their own sort of interpretations of. This one just kind of took the premise, really dumbed it down, particularly the Mademoiselle character in this one. The way they kind of end things with her was just a very not to mock my country, but just a very American way of doing things compared to the original film, which it was much more interesting, much more up for interpretation. While here it's pretty basic. I mean, I had a big issue with that. But I'm going to give this a rating for just the film, pretending the other one didn't exist, and I'll give it a rating for, those of you who do expect it to be, on the level of the original. So I'll do 2 ratings, but I will say on the good side, I thought the actresses were very good in this. I didn't have any issue really with them at all. I thought, really the entire cast, again, it's not poorly acted. It's mostly just very, very watered down. And obviously torture is a big part of the original, although it's a film that it got kind of that torture porn era where people just loved to throw that term out there for any extreme horror film, and I think it was did a disservice because I think the original is a very intelligent horror film, but even the torture in this felt, very downgraded. It wasn't. It earns its rating for sure, but it's still. I don't know. I was watching this thinking, I'm like, God, this is like a Mickey Mouse version of the original, and it just, I don't know. It didn't work. I wasn't moved or disturbed or, like the original made me feel. The original's a very bleak film. At the end of the day, I suppose this one is too, but it like I said, it's just kind of an American Mickey Mouse version of the original. And it's not that same emotional nut punch. It just isn't here. And I think that's intentional. I think this is one that, for whatever reason, they just said we're going to make this concept easier to take. So, there's a couple good gore moments in this one. I mean, again, nothing really to complain about what's there, just more what's not there. I don't know. My rating for somebody that was completely oblivious and even trying in my head to think, okay, Martyrs doesn't exist, I don't think even then I could go above a 2.5 for this. It still felt very average, and there's that interesting idea there, but it's just not developed properly. Having said that, being aware of the original and, same basic premise, God, I can't give this one more than a 1, and that's really just for the actresses and the fact that there were a couple effective, effects moments, but that's my 2 ratings. If you saw the first one and you love it, I would be shocked if you have too many good things to say about this. But Todd, what say you?
Shit. Honestly, I have a 2 down, and that's just based on being familiar with the other one. It didn't translate well, I don't think. It probably didn't help I watched the original, the day before. But
yeah,
as somebody who's never seen, the original, I'd say a 3.
Okay.
It might be I mean, for a seasoned horror. See, here's the thing, and I'm saying that for someone, because anyone who's really a seasoned horror fan will either know of or have seen the original. So that's more of just for a general, casual horror viewer.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I could be off base, but again, I'm a fan of it. So the original. So that's always gonna influence you somewhat. Like I always say, when the hopefully eventual Hellraiser remake is made, and if it's just okay, that might not play as well for somebody like me who considers certainly the original two films to be two of the best horror films ever made, for me. So it's always going to affect you. But having said that, this isn't a Wicker Man remake or a Fog remake or anything like that. It's still there's quality there. It's just it's such a cool premise and a disturbing premise that I don't know. It's just disappointing to see it kind of brought down to that just very basic interpretation. But anyways, we differ a little bit this week. That's actually a little bit, not totally, but a little bit. So that's always good. That is Martyrs, DVD and Blu-ray, what have you. I can't remember how much I paid for it at Best Buy, but it's not particularly expensive at the moment. So check that out. So next, I guess we will do a retro movie that I'm very curious to talk about, and that is Highway to Hell from 1991, and this is a Blu-ray debut. This has never been on an official Region 1 DVD or Blu-ray, so it's one of those ones that's been requested, I know, by a lot of people, and Kino finally put it out with some extra features.
I think there was.
Always good.
I know some people don't count this. I want to say there was an official MOD disc from MGM at one point.
Really? Because I don't think I ever even saw an MOD, but I could be mistaken.
I may be wrong too. I don't keep up with all that. But MOD. I'm not 100% sure, but I never saw this with like Killer Party or any of those MOD releases. But it could have happened. Quite frankly, I already had a bootleg of this one, so no real reason to get the MOD. But yes, it's on Blu-ray now from Kino, and if you've never heard of it, from the back cover, Chad Lowe and Christy Swanson star in this horror comedy action adventure as young lovers Charlie and Rachel eloping to Las Vegas for a secret wedding. Standing in their way is Satan, who has taken a liking to the lovely Rachel and has sent his hell cop to bring her down to hell where she can satisfy his devilish lust. When Charlie follows, he's thrust into an expected world of living satanic bikers, cannibalistic blondes, and a coffee shop where the only thing living is the food. The stellar cast includes Patrick Bergin, Richard Farnsworth, Pamela Gidley, Kevin Peter Hall, Jerry Stiller, and his wife and famous son Ben Stiller as Attila the Hun, and his daughter Amy Stiller as Cleopatra. Also featuring rocker Lita Ford and comedian Gilbert Godfrey as Hitler. Directed by At De Jong and from a screenplay by Brian Helgeland, who actually, if I recall, went on to win an Oscar for LA Confidential. So, Todd, I'm curious to get your thoughts on this. I've always been a huge fan of this film. It's very, very unique, and I think actually has aged quite well. But what do you think? Yeah, I have a feeling this is going to be a love fest. I've always been a fan too, and I agree. It has aged well. I mean, there still is some dated stuff, but overall, I mean, it still works. It is a very different film. I almost want to say it's like the comedy version of Nightbreed. It feels like to me.
Yeah, actually a lighter. Yeah, that's actually not a bad comparison.
But yeah, I've always really dug it. I mean, the effects are cool. The makeup's nice. I never knew that whole Book of Blood thing, which was talked about in the extra features about the Hell Cops, has the biblical verses carved in his face. I actually never noticed that it was carved in until now. I just thought it was like a burn makeup until I saw the Blu-ray.
Yeah, no, and I should actually say C.J. Graham, of course, the other Jason Voorhees, was the Hell Cop in this, or Sergeant Bedlam. Very good job. Very kind of could have been an iconic character. Probably should have been. This is another one of those films that came out just kind of one of those ignored 90s releases. You know, the people that saw it, and I saw it, of course on VHS back in the day, and was a huge fan of it. And the people that were aware of it loved it, but just, I don't know, it just never went anywhere. And I'm kind of surprised. I mean, it's definitely more of a supernatural comedic romance type flick. There's some fantastic car chases in this, really creative creatures, some nice, practical effects. Like I said, it's really aged quite well. I mean, comparing it to kind of similar tones, even from the time, and Beetlejuice, and even today, R.I.P.D. or Men in Black, whatever. I think it holds up quite well to those films. Quite frankly, I prefer it. I think it's not a huge budget, but they make the best of it. It still kind of felt like a really big film to me when I was a kid, and even now, I don't know. I don't feel like I'm watching a cheap, low-budget movie. Some really funny cameos. Gilbert Gottfried as a Hitler that's kind of trying to get out of hell, and the Stiller family for some reason. I haven't had a chance to listen to the extras, but I'm kind of curious how they got all the Stillers in this movie. I love it. It's just, it's creative. Go ahead, Todd.
I was going to say, I believe it's Ben's first feature film. That's what Steve Johnson mentions. He has a little funny little story about him too, and he ad-libbed all his lines, and he basically was like, "This guy will never go anywhere." But
yeah, he certainly did.
But I don't know. That's why you get all of them. He's like, if you put my kids in, I'll do it. Yeah, that's probably one thing that has maybe kept this one, because of course a year later, actually, because this took a while to come out. I mean, probably almost immediately after Kristy Swanson, of course, became Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I remember actually watching this back to back with that one a lot, and ironically, again, I actually prefer this, but it's such a creative movie. I mean, the whole hell processing grinder scene I thought was really cool. It really kind of captures the imagination. I could see, there's a couple minor gore moments, but I could see this one actually being really popular with even teenagers, or at least I hope it would be. Maybe not nowadays, but I just really love this one. It's so cool. It's exciting. It's kind of it's got a pretty solid romance going for it. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more of Patrick Bergin, who kind of was like big back in the day for like a very short period, but he was a really good actor. I think the last thing I saw him in was what was it? That one shark film from Asylum, the lesser known one. I can't think of the name right now. Shark something, but Shark Week, I think it was actually called. It's under a couple titles. You see, that narrowed it down.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to say, what, like 20 films? Yeah, the one he did with Yancey Butler, it's been under a couple titles. I think Shark Week was one of the titles. But yeah, no, I mean, this one, very weird, very kooky, but delivering everything you could really possibly want from a classic kind of adventure film. And I want to also throw out Richard Farnsworth, who went on to actually win an Oscar not too long after this, before passing away. And great cast, highly unique. It's another one, again, there's nothing quite like it, although I like your, kind of lighter, more comedic Nightbreed reference, because that's another thing that would make a good pairing with.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I think really it's just the timing of this for some reason. It just came out at a time when, even Nightbreed, there were a lot of just fantastic films that just never got their proper due. And unfortunately, this one still hasn't fully gotten it, but maybe now that it's on Blu-ray, it will. I think it's fantastic. It's one of those gems that you should most definitely check out. And wow. God, what to rate it? I really want to give this one a 5. Yeah, you know what, fuck it. I'm going to give it a 5. It's a great film to me. There's a couple little things you can maybe pick at, but still, it gives me that great feeling that I had when I was a kid. And, who knows? Maybe you're out there, you have kids, and like I said, there's a little brief nudity, nothing overly sexual, and there's a couple minor gore bits, but I'm going to say this one's okay for your teens who might like it. I don't know. Todd, what say you?
I'm 4.5, not too far off. It's definitely worth picking up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's definitely worth picking up.
Oh, go ahead.
All right. Jesus, now I forgot. No, I was going to say it's definitely worth picking up. There's a good, nice little 10-minute interview with Steve Johnson. Definitely worth checking out. Also, so talks about some of his craziness going on at the time. But very informative piece, and for a great film too.
Absolutely fantastic film. So if you haven't seen it, pick it up. I think it'll be a nice little gem. And I wanted to also say the director has made a lot of foreign films, but he also did Drop Dead Fred, which was pretty popular. I can't remember if he did it right before or right after this, but for some reason this one just went under the radar. So there you go. And our final film review for the evening, which I'm very curious to talk about. Actually, a couple people that I talked to on my Facebook was curious how we felt about this one, and that is another Scream Factory release of a new film this time, and that is Zombie Fight Club. Zombie Fight Club, from the back cover, in a corner of the city, in a building riddled with crime, there is an outbreak of zombies. When one woman witnesses her boyfriend falling victim to the zombie horde, she must team up with a police officer in order to stay alive and escape the building. But the once warm-hearted chemistry teacher, Wu Ming, is now the zombie leader following the chaos which has transformed him into a cruel, vicious, and formidable opponent. Ratcheting up the terror, an evil organization has begun pitting humans against zombies in a malicious killing game. The good side of humanity has seemingly all but vanished, in a world of uncertainty awaits. On paper, this is definitely a film that I think you and I should love, and there were things that I loved about it. The one negative, yet again, some spotty CGI, portions of which I didn't mind, but then there were those moments that also totally take you out of it. But there is some really good makeup in between this. You know, and there are some good practical moments too. It feels like a big, healthy, budgeted film compared to some similar Asian zombie movies I've seen. In fact, actually, this started out as a sequel, which a lot of people aren't aware of, to another film called Zombie 108, which I don't think actually came out on DVD here yet, although the Blu-ray is region-free. It ended up not so much being a sequel, I guess, but a film that takes place in the same universe. So, you know, if you like this or are curious, you can check out Zombie 108, which apparently is a little more sleazy than this one, which we'll kind of get into that, I guess, in a little bit. But Todd, kind of a lot to say about this one. What did you think?
Well, you know, I didn't really know much going into this one. I just, you know, I was like, that's new, whatever, direct-to-video Screen Factory stuff. So I kind of read up a little on it, and I was very interested going in. For some reason, it kind of reminded me of Godzilla Final Wars, but with zombies. I mean, until we get the switch. And how far did we jump ahead? A year later?
Yes. Kind of jarring, wasn't it? Because that's something I was going to bring up.
I really liked the first half more than the second half. I was getting into story and the characters, and that jump just kind of threw me a little bit, I think.
It kind of felt like it morphed into another movie, or almost like, you know, it was like two separate movies. That's one thing I was going to say. Although, ironically, I kind of liked the second half more in theory, even though it's not developed like it should. Because, I mean, the movie's called Zombie Fight Club, which that whole sort of idea doesn't really come in till towards the end, and it's not really a major thing. I mean, number one, and because they kind of give it away on the back cover, so it's not a spoiler, but you have this mild-mannered professor who's banging one of his students, so I guess, you know, he's not totally mild-mannered, but doesn't seem like the most likely person to, like, seize control. Kind of a minor gripe, but I don't know, there's some others that might have done that. It's a very exciting film. Definitely a lot more sexploitation in this than I was expecting. And I kind of would have liked to have seen that latter half developed more. Actually, I was kind of like, God, this is pretty cool. You know, like I said, I would have upped the sexploitation elements a little bit that were there. It got kind of really, like I said, Zombie 108 apparently is a little bit more in the sexploitation genre than this was apparently. But I kind of liked it. I mean, all of a sudden it's like goes all Mad Max, and you have the professor who has these leather-clad Ilsa-like women. You know, there's some lesbianism, so you know the movie's not all bad. I like the scene with the older guy who shows up with the chainsaw and that robot thing. I would have liked to have seen more of that, but I don't know. In the realm of crazy-ass Japanese zombie or zombie-type flicks, I have to say I would throw out zombie-ass Toilet of the Dead, which I think is fucking hilarious.
I agree.
Or Dead Sushi is films that two in particular that I think are just laugh riots and absolutely worth picking up. This one, kind of a clusterfuck. It's like I still liked it, but I don't know, that sort of shift into a very different movie didn't quite work, and the whole Zombie Fight Club thing is really kind of an afterthought. We don't really see a whole lot of, you know, I mean, I kind of expected this to have like an Asian Van Damme character that was going to like do the splits and punch one of the zombies in the nuts, and I didn't get that scene. It was nowhere found. So I don't know, maybe, you know, Bolo could have shown up and, you know, kind of been like a boss zombie in this, but it just didn't happen. It's muddled. I really, particularly, I think, for a guy like me, I should have liked it more than I did. And there are a lot of characters to follow, too, in that first half, where if it weren't for some of the spotty CG, I think I'd even go a little bit higher on this. But I don't know. It's a mishmash, and it just never really fully came into its own. But, I'm curious enough that I probably will pick up Zombie 108 at some point, see how that is. And I think the filmmakers have potential. This is surprisingly bigger in scope than I expected it to be. I will say that much for it. But I gotta go with a 2.5, to be perfectly honest, because it just didn't quite come together for me. But it might for you. I don't know. I could see this kind of having mixed opinions. But what say you, Todd?
No, this is the one we're finally going to agree on tonight, even though we're disagreeing about the parts we liked. I give it a 2.5 also. Yeah. Not that I didn't like the second half, it just wasn't the same movie. And not that that's even necessarily a bad thing on a lot of films. It just wasn't really what I wanted.
Didn't work here.
This film. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at, there's From Dusk Till Dawn's a perfect example of one that makes a switch partway through, and it's works perfectly. This, not so much.
Yeah. I it's another one. I kind of, there's like a lesbian shower scene, and I'm only giving it a 2.5. Maybe I'm like more refined now. I don't know. This is kind of disturbing me a little bit, but yeah, I don't know. I'm curious to see Zombie 108. I probably will order it, and maybe we'll talk about that one at some point, because I still, for some reason, I thought that was up for pre-order on a DVD, and it got canceled or something, if I recall, because I think it was supposed to come here and it never did. So I don't know. We will see. But there were a few laughs here. I still feel it. You might pick it up and it'll be a fun watch, even though it's very flawed. I don't know. We'll see. But anyways, that is Zombie Fight Club, and we're done. We're done our reviews a little bit early tonight, but I did want to talk, actually a lot early tonight. I did want to talk briefly about Days of the Dead, which, of course, is in Atlanta, Georgia, Friday through Sunday at the Atlanta Sheraton, 165 Cortlandt Street in Atlanta. And there's a hell of a lineup for this one. I'm actually really excited. Days of the Dead is known for having some pretty unique vendors that you don't always see making the rounds to a lot of other conventions. A lot of my recent history with conventions has been in the Northeast and, of course, the West Coast going back a few years. But the lineup, Elvira will be there in costume, Tobin Bell, of course, Jigsaw from Saw, Phil Anselmo from Pantera, who recently got into some trouble for giving the Hitler salute at one of his concerts. So I'm kind of curious if there's going to be anybody that calls him on that during the panel, because apparently a couple people are saying they're going to, so that could be entertaining. Ric Flair, who I will be seeing tomorrow, and I've seen him live many times, but, kind of cool to be able to meet the Babe Ruth of wrestling as far as I'm concerned. From Star Wars, Billy D. Williams, Jeremy Bulloch, who, of course, played Boba Fett, and Tim Rose, of course, Admiral Akbar will be there from that. China will be there. Tony Todd, Kane Hodder, Tyler Mane, Ted Ramey, Heather Langenkamp, Sid Haig, Bill Moseley, PJ Souls, first convention appearance ever for Antonietta Pari, who played the elder well, I guess she's just credited as Elder, the main villain of Green Inferno. Very excited to meet her. Even though that's another movie I was a little, not entirely enthusiastic about, but Ian White will be there from Game of Thrones. There's going to be a Cabin Fever cast reunion. Camille Keaton. There's a Poltergeist reunion. Alex Vincent from Child's Play. John Duggan from Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Very excited to meet C. Thomas Howell, who I haven't met. Still no idea what I'm going to get. Yes, I know. I'll have to ask him about that one. I'll probably get something from The Hitcher signed. I'm imagining.
You got to go with that.
Huh?
Come on. I said you got to go with the Hitcher.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I can get something from his Asylum War of the Worlds. I don't know. Maybe I'll do something unusual. Who knows? Erin, she'll always be Misty Monday to me, Brown, will be there. I haven't seen her at a convention since, 2007, I think. Maybe even 2006. It was a Fangoria Weekend of Horrors. So curious to see her again. Some pretty cool indie talent. Maureen Elise, who you may not know the name, but she was one of the stars of the Manson Family. And a lot of really good premieres. Stephen Biro, Unearthed Films, Massacre Video will be there. A lot of great guests. Todd, isn't Days of the Dead kind of your big convention on the LA front?
It is now. I mean, that's all that's left. And I know we have... When is ours? Jeez, it may be coming up sooner than I think. While you're talking, I'm going to look
actually, I can tell you, LA is April 1st through 3rd. Yours is right after ours. So you'll probably have some of the same guests.
Yeah, I don't know. Is this isn't your first Days of the Dead, no?
No, this is my first Days of the Dead, actually. Yes, I've done, literally probably 100 conventions at this point, but I've never done a Days of the Dead. Well,
I can only speak the first year in LA. It was really not their best. I've heard great things about everywhere else. It was just felt very, very. It was our first convention since Fangoria Weekend of Horrors, and it wasn't. Or sorry, Weekend of Horrors. It definitely wasn't. It did not live up to those expectations for a lot of people.
Yeah, I find that's the case with a lot of first conventions. There's always kind of those little hiccups. I mean, I haven't been there yet, but my understanding is it's really a neat convention. The prices, the prices have gone up everywhere, but it's not quite as insane, at least down south here. But it's a mostly straight horror convention with a little sprinkling of sci-fi. A lot of conventions like Chiller have they have a shit ton of guests, but they're kind of a little bit of everything now. And I know this one's pure horror, which is always very welcome. And I'll be kind of, if you're on my Facebook page, I'll be uploading pictures and kind of giving my thoughts on the convention. Because again, first time, so hopefully it'll live up to expectations.
Offering handies behind the Marriott. Don't forget that.
there you go. Autographs are expensive. You got to do what you got to do. I don't know. Maybe China will be doing that. You never know. Anybody there you're excited to meet? Because apparently the lineups are similar, not exactly the same, but they can be similar from show to show. In fact, I think they started announcing some LA people, if I'm not mistaken.
They did, but I cannot get the website to go for me.
I did. You've got Tobin Bell. I don't know if you've met him before.
No.
Sid and Bill, of course, will be there. I think Sid and Bill are at every fucking convention known to man. I mean, I swear if it's a horror convention at all, one or the other or both are there. Yeah. You've got Oh, you've got the Grady twins from The Shining who will be there, although I was actually at their very first convention appearance, I believe, and they were charging out the fucking ass. And single, too. So it's kind of messed up because it's like, of course you want them both, but you might pay a pretty penny. You've also got Tony Moran and Jennifer Blanco from Friday the 13th 7 and Leatherface. That's about all you have on the actual site now, but I noticed after one ends, they kind of start to crank them out.
Focus on the next one. Yeah, I mean, nothing. No far no, and I'm like, ooh, I can't, Leah.
So the question is, will I have the balls to ask China about Sonny's offer? I don't think she's responded to it yet, at least not that I've seen.
I haven't either.
But let's be honest, are you buying it if it happens?
No.
Yeah, I'll admit it. I'm going to buy it. I have no shame.
I don't know. That one kind of scares me.
Yeah, I was going to say, that could be, she might manhandle her like she did X-Pac in the one night in China tape. Hopefully she'll be a little more conscious than she was in that one, but who knows? I don't know. I guess if Triple H isn't going to put her in the Hall of Fame, she might as well. We'll see. But
well, maybe she'll
really
do it
cool
maybe she'll do it for Sonny's Hall of Fame ring. Funniest thing about the Sonny film is from the trailer, she's wearing her Hall of Fame ring in it.
Does the ring end up in any orifice at some point?
I've only seen the trailer at this point, so I could not tell you.
Oh, there you go, then. She got to keep the ring, I guess. I guess she didn't finish hawking it on eBay. I don't know. But she might be going to jail soon, though, for some of those, I don't know, many legal issues she had. So.
One of her many 35 DUIs.
Yeah, I was going to say it's probably a little bit more. So, I don't know. I wish now, before her popularity went up, I took advantage of one of those. Was she offering the pictures like in bed with her at one point?
Yes,
I should have taken advantage of that.
Mm-hmm.
She was even doing sex chats too, and for a lot of people that have been asking about it, she has not done porn before. She appeared in those Wrestle Vixens videos, but that was just nudity for her.
Yes,
a lot of people were like, what's the big deal? It's not her first porn. And I'm like, well, no, she wasn't actually having sex in that. So,
I have wrestling. I fully admit I have Wrestling Vixens Volume 1. On VHS still. It was just some topless stuff. I totally forgot about that too. This is the first, wait, hold on. Wait. I'm multitasking.
What, are we looking at the trailer? We should have played her.
The following program is intended for mature audiences.
There. I do the tag out there, you go.
There you go. I guess we can kind of consider this a mini version of Flesh Wound After Dark, but
I was about to say, she didn't get anal in the friggin' Wrestling Vixens.
Yes, that is true. That is true. You think Missy Hyatt will come back and do more porn now?
Oh, Jesus. I don't know.
Maybe it'd be like she can do like a porn parody of Eyes Without a Face or something. I don't know. But
I don't know. We can do the. It's funny because Sonny was in XCW, but she never worked in that arm of the division. But then again, Candido was alive to stop her. Maybe we can get Sonny and Nicole Bass in one.
Yeah, I was about At that point, though, we're talking horror porn, but I don't know, is Nicole Bass in prison right now? She was even in trouble not that long ago. So I don't know.
She's still
I don't know, that's possible. She did, Nicole Bass did porn, not sex, but she was slapping the shit out of Christy Mist. I remember her and some fetish stuff.
Don't forget Cronus.
Huh?
She also did the shit out of Cronus. I was going to say, Nicole Bass is off somewhere still crying about Shawn Michaels talking shit. So he moved.
I'm sorry, say that again?
She's still off crying in a corner somewhere about when Shawn Michaels talks shit to her backstage. She won't let that shit go.
Yeah, we never got that Nicole Bass versus China dream match that they were teasing back in the day, but what are you going to do? But
she worked for
I don't know, I'll be honest, I mean,
she worked for like almost every company too. She worked for everything but WCW.
Sonny?
No, no.
I was going to say, because Sonny did.
No, I'm talking about Nicole Bass. She worked
ECW, yes.
WWE, XPW.
Yeah, I think WWE, I mean, she's still green, but I think they really found with Nia Jax, if she can continue to improve, their first sort of monster diva that might pay off. Because Karma had all her issues. Hell, she might be done with TNA again at this point for slapping the shit out of Matt Hardy's wife. But yeah, I don't know. I think Nia Jax will work out. It's something that kind of was always a theme that I don't know. Maybe Vince McMahon likes his giants, and hey, that's same thing when it comes to the ladies, I guess. Or I don't know, maybe it's debatable still with Nicole Bass, but who knows? But yeah, no, I'll say, being a fan, back in the 90s, I had a bit of a thing for Sunny. I think most of us probably did, and she was a great valet. I mean, what can you say? I think she is somebody that left her mark on the business, and I'm definitely curious enough to see it. I haven't even watched the trailer yet, though. I still have to. Hopefully it's a worthwhile video. And I don't know, maybe she'll do one with Dustin Diamond next.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I have to say, and I told this to a few friends the other day, Sunny was my very first WWF autograph, like ever, for any personality. I had Tower Records.
Where did you meet her, at an event, or?
Yeah, Tower Records signing at Tower Long Beach Superstore right down the street. It was at the height of her popularity, right before SummerSlam, and they were doing a bikini contest. It was right as Sable was on. Right when she was starting to blow up, but she hadn't became Sable yet. She was on the way to becoming Sable, but she wasn't the superstar yet. And so Sunny was still the big deal. I'm always Sunny over Sable. But fast forward to a few years later, though, it was funny because at XPW, at their last LA show before the legal problems, I still remember Sunny kept putting me in line to get her hot dogs, because she's Sunny, she doesn't have to wait. And a friend of mine told me, well, now you know, do not get in the way of Sunny and her wieners. So
there you go. There have been a lot of famous wieners that have entered her. I've heard some particularly funny ones that make me scratch my head, but supposedly Taka Michinoku actually got a little action. Apparently she kind of broke him in to the WWF, so to speak. I've heard a particularly sleazy story about Ahmed Johnson out there, about him I think her offering herself to him for drugs at one point, and there's some pretty fucked up stories out there about her, to be perfectly honest. I know Sabu, and like I said, we need to get some XPW guys on for a commentary for the Sunny DVD. We've got to make that happen. Just we'll see. Maybe some of them will admit to it, but I have a strong sense that she made her way around the locker room. But we'll see. There are some really funny Sunny stories behind the scenes, and particularly Bret Hart getting really pissed when Triple H made that comment at the Slammies.
I thought it was Shawn Michaels.
Well, no, Triple H made the comment. God, I wish I could remember how it went, but he made the comment about Shawn Michaels. Something about my best friend, said it wasn't all that great, or something along those lines. And I thought he made some kind, or maybe it was Shawn Michaels that made the reference about Bret Hart. There were like a couple different references.
I know Shawn made the sunny days comment, that Bret's been having some sunny days lately. I don't remember the Slammy one, but...
Yeah, if you look it up, because there were a couple, because she, like I said, I mean, even like Kurt Hennig, Brian Pillman, there were a lot of different people that apparently she was making the rounds with. But she was a great valet. What can I say? She really added a lot, and I was kind of almost looking for, when she got the Hall of Fame induction, actually a little bit before that, there were some rumblings that she might be brought back, but I heard the big thing that kind of killed her, aside from, some of the behavior issues, was that Linda McMahon just fucking hated her, and that really kind of kept them from bringing her back for another run. But
I wonder if it's because Vince had some sunny days.
Possibly. Vince is never direct. Well, he's another one that's supposedly on the rumored list. But then again, so's Trish, so's Sable. Supposedly Vince, all of the top divas back then. I don't know how much truth there is to it, but hey, I've heard Vince and Shawn Michaels rumors. So who the hell knows? There are some funny stories out there, and I've even heard some funny stories from wrestlers that, I don't know if they're true, but I really wish they were. I heard one in particular about somebody walking in on Shawn Michaels pissing on a line of hookers, which very well might have happened. I hope it did, because it's just so fucking surreal. But we need somebody else to start a streaming network for wrestling that has like legit, like, no holds barred shoots. I think it'd be a great idea, to be perfectly honest. I do think somebody needs to start kind of the stuff you're not going to see them talk about on the WWE network kind of deal. But who knows? Maybe we'll get it at some point. Maybe they'll pick up the XPW library. I'm going to throw that out there. We're about to the end.
They still won't play it in New Jack.
Yes, that's true. So, Todd, I think we covered everything. Next week, I know we've got several reviews lined up. I know we're going to be doing Julia, which is a rape revenge flick that's actually gotten some pretty good buzz. Shipped out a little late for some reason. We were going to do it this week, but it didn't quite make it. I know we'll be doing that. Hellions. God, I know we have a full show. I can't remember everything. Turbo Kid, Giant Spider Invasion, and I don't know, we'll probably have one or two more to be announced. I can't remember them all off the top of my head, but we will be back next week, and I'll also be back, kind of let you know how Days of the Dead went. it went well. Of course, again, some of the lineups are going to be similar. And I think that's all I got. I'm just going to throw it out there again. Poonies next week.
I'm making you wait. You know that now.
I know. And I can listen to it anytime I want. I just want to share it with everybody else again. It's such a cool theme. I'm on the hunt to find the film for a special After Dark review. Yeah, I'll have to look again. I know I saw it. Obviously I saw it on VHS way back in the day, but it's a little tricky to find it considering it's a porn parody of a very popular movie. And God, I hope it's possible for Vinegar Syndrome to put it out. But again, 1985, that's kind of that year where maybe it was shot a certain way, maybe it wasn't. So, hopefully. We'll see. But we'll see you guys next week.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're definitely hoping.
Yeah. And don't forget, coming up at 8 o'clock, top of the hour, UEW Hellraiser Radio. Tonight's special guest is Ray Rosas. I know there will be some other surprises in store, and that's coming up at 8 o'clock on speaker. Go to hellraiserradio.com and check them out. All right, guys. We will see you or talk to you next week.
See you next week. Bye, guys.
It's here.
Hello?
Have you checked the children?
They're all hot dolls. Whatever you do, don't fall asleep.
I'm afraid.
Don't be afraid.
No. Be afraid. Be very afraid.
Here's Gingy.
Pain has a face. Allow me to show it to you, gentlemen.
When you don't go to Geico.com, car insurance can seem intense. Like breakup R&B intense.
I thought you said you loved the sweater that I got you. If you didn't, you could have told me.
Geico makes it easy. Just go to Geico.com anytime to update or check your policy without all the extra drama.
I even had a gift receipt.
Hi, I'm a helpful Southern California Honda person, and this holiday season we've been doing random acts of helpfulness, like giving out free Christmas trees, helping out at children's hospitals, and providing warm meals for the less fortunate. And during the Happy Honda Days sales event, we can help you too, with a great deal on an award-winning Honda, like the 2016 CR-V, a 2016 IIHS top safety pick. Click the dealer locator link to find a dealer near you, and go to SoCalHondaDealers.com to suggest a random act of helpfulness for someone you know.